So I'm making this video to answer the question, what a good melody actually is. If you listen to songwriters like Max Martin, like Ryan Tedder, or even someone like Ed Sheeran, Benny Blanco, they always emphasize the importance of melody. They say things like, hit songs have hit song melodies, or melody is king. I'm sure you've heard these sayings before. But when you ask someone in the music industry what a good melody is, they always say it's subjective. They always say it's up to the listener. There's no such thing as a universally good melody. In fact, when I went to Berklee College of Music, they spend most of their time teaching us harmony, ear training, counterpoint, how to play in ensembles, but nothing about melodies. So I was like, hey, wait a minute. All these massive songwriters say that melody is the most important thing in the song. There's gotta be some information out there on how we can write good melodies. So I asked myself, is melody really subjective? If it were, would hit makers put so much emphasis on writing good melodies? I don't think so. So I spent months researching every paper I could find on this topic, analyzing hit songs, transcribing melodies, and compiling everything I have, and you won't believe what I found. There's actually a structure and a pattern to writing a hit song melody. And in this video, I'm going to give away everything I learned so you don't have to spend months of your time researching this for yourself. The fundamental question of what a good melody is boils down to this. Why do we have ears? Why do we hear things? Think about that for a second. Why did evolution give us ears? For what purpose? Now, most of you are going to say it's for survival. Okay, that's cool. But ask yourself this, how do ears help you in survival? Well, it's just a mechanism that we have that helps us predict our environment better. The thing is, we evolved to have ears way before we evolved to speak. So the fundamental purpose of hearing is not communication. It's actually environment prediction. If you look at research of people like Albert Bergman, you find out is that the way our ears help us survive is by classifying the environment into sounds that are safe and sounds that are unsafe. In other words, classifying our environment into familiar and unfamiliar, recognizable and unrecognizable, repeated and changing. For example, let's say you're a prehistoric human living in the forest. So sounds of the birds, sounds of the stream and of the forest, they are predictable sounds. While if you hear something like a tiger, that's a pattern interrupt that goes against what you're expecting, so it puts you in a fight or flight response. And the way the human ear classifies sound is by recognizing the tone and the timbre. In other words, the melody. So it's not a surprise that melody is the most important thing in songwriting. They say that the average listener of a song doesn't completely register the lyrics of the song until the third time they hear it. So what are they hearing for the first 3 times? It's the melody. So if you divide your melody into parts that are familiar and unfamiliar, and you combine them in the right ratio, you come up with a melody that's universally appealing. At least this is what research tells us. Now, before we go ahead, I just want to say, I know a lot of you struggle with finishing your songs. The songwriting part, the production part, the part where you got to put it out there. So that's why for a long time, I've been doing one-on-one lessons with aspiring music artists, songwriters, producers, so I can help you get your songs finished. And I use my years of experience in the industry plus research to get your songs sounding right. I worked with influencers, famous K-pop artists, A&Rs to get this kind of stuff sorted for them. And I want to do the same for you. I want to help as many of you as possible. That's why I'm keeping my prices really low. So if you want to work with me one-on-one, click the link below. The form will give you all the information you need. Just fill it out and I'll reach out to you. We can talk about it. Alright, so let's get back to it. Now, if you analyze any melody out there from a really successful song, you'll almost always find repeating patterns. And I found out that most industry songwriters know about this. Basically, what you want to do is you want your melody to be a combination of familiar and unfamiliar. For those of you getting started, I'm going to put out a simple ratio there. So the science-backed ratio for familiar to unfamiliar is about 80-20. So 80% repeating, 20% new. The reason for this is simple. Every time we listen to a song, our brain tries to predict what's going to happen in the song next. We want to make the song like a game for the listener. So we want them, for the most part, to be able to predict what's going to happen. As you all know, a game that is too easy is not interesting. So we throw in a few melodic changes just to make it more exciting for the listener. A melody that repeats too much just gets boring. But this is not the problem for most of y'all. Most of the songs I hear from amateur songwriters have these changing melodies that are so complex that our brain cannot register them. And so I'm going to show you a very simple framework to write your melodies. Now let's look at this song Stay by Justin Bieber and the Kid Laroi, for instance. So we have this melody. I do the same thing I told you that I never would. And then it repeats. I told you I changed, even when I knew I never could. It repeats again. But I can't find nobody else as good as you. And then it changes at the end. I need you to stay, need you to stay. We call this a A-A-A-B melody because it repeats 3 times and it changes at the end. So using alphabets like these to talk about melody is one of the fundamental parts of melodic math. Melodic math is just a term given to the study of melodies in a mathematical way. And it's used by most of the hit songwriters, but it's rarely ever taught. So let's take the simple concept of the AAAB melody. It repeats 3 times and it changes the 4th. So it kind of comes close to that 80-20 ratio. 80% repeating, 20% changing. Now let's say we have a AAAAB melody that repeats 4 times and then changes. This is perfect 80-20 and I've noticed this melody in so many songs. But the problem is it's hard to fit into a bar of 4. But here's the thing. There are many such melodic patterns that can be used and you can also create your own. You just need to stick to the simple rule of 80-20. To help you out and get you started, I'm going to put all the popular melodic patterns on screen here so you can just take a screenshot. And the reason the 80-20 ratio is so powerful is that you can apply it to anything. Lyrics, production, instrumentation, and so on. I just gave you a very simple formula that you can use today to start writing better melodies. And I'm just starting this YouTube channel, I'm still figuring it out. This is the first long form video I've ever made. But in the future, I'm going to be posting more and bringing more value for you guys. So make sure you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on what's coming.